Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. I am so excited to be back, hopefully on a more regular basis. So not everything about quarantine is terrible. I have way more time now than I have in a very long time. So there's that. So I'm going to do a quick update, more of a life update on what's been going on with me over the last few months. I'm going to talk about some of the books I read, and then I'm going to cut to part 2 and I'm going to talk about more books that I have read and what I am going to be reading hopefully over the next few weeks. So, as many of you guys know, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I love what I do. I work for myself, and I just have so much fun helping people get better. Like, people come in with shoulder problems and they'll be like, oh, when I move it like this, it hurts. When I move it like this, it's okay. So, you know, when they're reaching up to open a cupboard or something, they get pain shooting down their shoulder. That's not normal. That shouldn't be happening. So it's my job to kind of feel around, move things, and kind of help them figure out what's going on. Sometimes I can help people like that. And sometimes it takes many times to come in, especially if it's been a problem for like, oh yeah, I've had this pain for 2 years. And I'm like, okay, this is going to take a little bit. It's not going to be a one-time appointment kind of fix. And then I get people who come into me regular and I'll get their shoulder better and they'll be like, yeah, and sometimes when I'm squatting, if I have too much weight on my back, my knee will start to hurt and then I can like work on their knee next. So to me, it's a ton of fun. I get to help people get better. I do know my limits. So when there are times that it's like, yeah, I think you need to see a chiropractor, or I think you need to see a PT, or even go to your doctor, whatever, I will refer people out when I can't help them, because I would rather you get better than make a little bit of money, because, well, then when you need me again, you'll come back because I was honest and good at what I did and all that kind of stuff. So I really, really miss working. I haven't been able to work since about the 20th of March, which is about a month ago, which it just really sucks. It sucks because my work is not considered essential, yet PTs and chiropractors can still work. So I'm a little bit like, though I know not all massage therapists do what I do. Lots of massage therapists prefer to do relaxing massages, and lots of massage therapists prefer to do other things. But in my niche, I feel like I should be considered essential, but I'm not. Also in Nebraska, we are not under like the same quarantine that like New York and California are under, or even some of the bigger cities. We are under like a suggested quarantine. I don't know exactly the difference between all of them. I also don't listen to the news because A, there's a new thing every day that people are freaking out about, and B, I don't want to freak out. And I figure if it's news worth knowing, it'll go on for a few days and I'll hear about it. But I'm really not the kind of person who listens to the news. I'm just not. I'm not super political. And I don't get on Facebook a ton because it's a truly negative place. Like for a little bit, it was okay. People are like, let's be happy, not worry about this quarantine. Let's put pictures. And what's a band that starts with the letter Q? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. But then it started cycling back to political posts and super negative posts. And I'm just like, I'm not here for that. And it's just not my scene. So I just don't get on. And Twitter is even worse sometimes, so I don't get on that either. I'll get on Instagram. Instagram's a pretty happy place with happy pictures, so I'm totally good with that. I am keeping my head above water, which is good. I've had a lot more time to read, which actually has been really nice. First few days after I found out I couldn't work, I think I just sat on the couch and created a dent because I just was so sad about not working, which I knew I'd be a little sad, but I didn't know I'd be that sad. And then I just kind of snapped out of it and I decided I should read. So I started picking up books, and you'll see a lot in here that are books that I started like months ago and I didn't finish. So I just picked them up and finished them. I mean, to the point where I was like picking up a book and reading it in a day. So I was on the reading wagon for about a week, and then I kind of got a little better balance. Watch some TV sometimes, I would read sometimes. I've been listening to books so I can do stuff around the house. We refinished our basement bathroom and I painted the floors and the walls. I did have some help, which was really nice. I had a friend, 2 friends actually, who helped me, which was awesome because I gotta tell you, I'm not a good painter or anything like that, but I did a lot more of the prepping of like the floor and the scraping and stuff like that than the actual painting, which was probably for the best. And then I've been like cleaning out some closets and just spring cleaning stuff as well, which is also good. I have a big list of that to do and I've been feeling a little more motivated lately. So I've been getting that stuff done as well and finding a balance between what I watch and what I read. I've been able to help my husband out with doing some little projects through his work. He is able to work from home, which is fantastic. And then we've been listening to Way of Kings together. We'll get on, he'll play a game on his computer. It depends, it varies, and I'll play World of Warcraft, and we're just kind of playing and listening, and it's actually really fun. I'm probably 3/4 of the way through it. I would like to hurry up and finish it, but I'm not going to finish it without him. And I need to find the time to sit down in the room with him while he's not working, and we can finish that up. But we had the readathon. I've been doing some buddy reads, and I've been cleaning stuff around the house, which is really, really, really good. Otherwise, these are honestly projects that I probably would be putting off for years. Now I won't be putting them off for years. And prior to that, I was really busy with stuff for our kids camp. As most of you guys know, I'm the director of a Royal Family Kids Camp. It's a national, international organization based out of California. I did not invent this, but it is a camp. There's a 1 week long camp for foster kids. And I start planning it in January. We fundraise money all year round to make it happen. It takes about $80,000. We have 60 kids and usually 85 to 90 staff. So this way our kids can get lots of one-on-one attention. There's like 2 campers for every 1 counselor. Sometimes they're even one-on-one if that's what that camper needs. Just a week for these kids who our society has deemed worthless and unwanted to feel loved. And we do tell them about Jesus, and we love them, and we tell them they have a hope and a future, and that they don't have to get pregnant at 14, and they don't have to go to jail when they're 18. Like, the patterns that they've seen in their lives, they're gonna recreate, because subconsciously they don't think they can do anything else until somebody comes along and empowers them and says, oh no, you can go to college, you can do all of the things. Your current circumstances do not dictate your future. And having somebody who believes in you summer after summer for 5 or 6 years, depending on, for like 5 years, is huge for these kids. And it is life-changing. And it isn't just a week. It isn't just like, oh, 1 week of greatness. They think of this week all year long. We give them so much stuff to remember that whole week. Like, we give them heart notes, like encouraging notes. We give them the music on like an MP3 so they can listen to it all year long. They get a photo album so they can have those memories. So it's really, really great. It's a great program. And the closer we get to the end of April, the more it looks like it might not happen, which is heartbreaking. Like, we put so much work into this, and these kids, they deserve it. So it's been a hard road, and it's been very emotional as well, just trying to kind of wrap my brain around that. We do have a backup plan and then a second backup plan, and I can keep you guys posted on what we end up doing. Basically, whatever the state decides is allowed to happen in June is what's going to happen in June. So if they say we can have 150 people on a campground together, we will totally do it. But as of now, our quarantine isn't lifted until like end of May, and then they'll probably do some sort of a tiered release. So I don't know if by June 14th that's really going to happen or not. So if you're a praying person, I would love the prayers. I would love to have my kids camp per the usual this year, but we do have a couple backup plans. And that's what I've honestly been dealing with the last month. I've been preparing those other 2 plans if they need to happen. If our plan B needs to happen, plan A is camp as usual. Plan B needs to happen, I'm trying to be prepared for that. And if plan C has to happen, I'm trying to be prepared for that as well. So I've been making phone calls and talking to people and setting things up, all the backup plans, because everything's in the air. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, which is possibly the crappiest part of all of this is we don't know. We don't know when it's going to end. We don't know about all this. Anyway, that is about enough negative talk for me for the day. I can't take anymore. So I'm done with that. And I'm going to talk about the books I read. So I have a bunch of rereads. And I don't know why, beginning of this year, for whatever reason, I just wanted to reread books. I was like, I want to reread series. I was very much in a comfort read kind of area. And it could have been that I was working a lot. I'm still on the mend health-wise. Like, I'm doing a lot better than I was a year ago. But I'm still getting better. I still have days where I'm so tired. I'm not functioning, which when you're in quarantine is not a huge deal. But when I'm working in real life, it's a little more complicated. So I've just been doing rereads, been doing lots of audiobooks as well, which I love audiobooks. I love them. And then I'll do like audiobook and then read the book and then audiobook and read the book all the time. So in the last video I talked about what I was reading. I told you guys that I had read Ruby Red, I read Sapphire Blue, and I read Emerald Green. These are books about a girl who finds out that she has a time travel gene. She knew it ran in the family. She thought her cousin had it. Turns out she has it. So the first book, second book, third book, quick reads. I did read these two in the last like 2 months. It was probably the last time that I actually had a Monday Reads wrap up. So they just continue the story. But I do love this story. I like Gwen. I love Leslie, her best friend. Probably my favorite character. And it's a really fun story. It's definitely YA, so it's a pretty quick read as well. And then I also read Cinder on my last wrap up. So since then I have read Scarlet, Fairest, and Cress. I am probably a third of the way into Winter. That's one of the ones that I was like, ooh, I'm going to pick that up and read it. But I had a buddy read, then I had the reading rush, and then I have another buddy read going on, which I will talk to you guys about those. But I did read these as well. I love this series. I love the Ruby Red series, but I think I love this one more. It's just so sweet. The premise is kind of a YA sci-fi retelling of Cinderella, where Cinderella, instead of being like in the family and she's like kind of a slave within her own family, she's actually a cyborg. So she's actually like a class beneath humans kind of thing, still kind of a slave. And then many twists on that. They have people who live on the moon that are named Lunars. They've been there for hundreds of years. They were Earthens, and then they, you know, went to the moon. And then it's kind of that world, and it's a very interesting world. I think one of the things I like about these books is they are well thought out. There aren't a lot of plot holes. Like, there's not a lot of, but how did this happen? There might seem like there are at this point in the books, but by the time Winter wraps up, they fill in everything, which is fantastic. And I think I just enjoy Melissa Meyer's writing as well. It just speeds by. Scarlet, we meet a Little Red Riding Hood character. Fairest is kind of the mean witch from Snow White with the mirror and very vain and stuff like that. And this one's just a novella. It's a short one. And then we have Cress, which, as you can see from the hair, is a Rapunzel character. So each book, a new like fairy tale retelling character is involved, but you get all the other ones too. So you're just kind of building more and more characters. Cress might be my favorite, and the person that she's kind of with, I'm not going to spoil that for you. I like that as well. So those are just books, comfort reads, reads that make me feel good, reads that make me happy. And then I did something that I don't know. And then I did something I don't normally do and actually read like more romancy books, which I'm not huge into romance books, but I have to admit in the last month, I haven't wanted to read anything heavy, anything dark, or anything that's just kind of serious, because the world is serious enough right now. I don't need that. So I have been leaning more towards like contemporaries and romances and actually enjoying them. It's very, very weird. So I'm going to talk about those next few. And by the way, between this video and the other video, this is not the order that I read these books. This is just the order I'm choosing to talk about these books. Okay. So the first one I read was American Royals, and that is by Catherine McGee. Now, I didn't really talk about the point rating for the rereads. I gave most of them probably a 4.5 to a 5-star because I really did enjoy them. This one I gave a 4.5 personally and technically. I super enjoyed this book. Now, Catherine McGee is actually an author who I read a few years ago, the Thousandth Floor books. The premise of this one is like an alternative past. So instead of America becoming a democracy when like the forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence and Washington was made president, instead of being president, he was made king, and we had a monarchy instead of a democracy. And so all of this royalty is in the lineage of George Washington, which he didn't have any kids, so I think it went to like a nephew, I think is what they said. I have a feeling that if I looked up like names and things, they wouldn't exactly match up, but you know, it's alternative reality. It's not a reality. It's a twist on reality. So we're going to let that slide. So this is modern day, and we have kind of our princesses and a prince. So we have our oldest princess. Oh, what's her name? I forget her name, and I don't have the book here because I listened to this one. I want to say her name's Adeline. I think it's Adeline. And then she has a younger sister, twin brother and sister that are younger than her, Samantha and I want to say Nick, but I don't think that's right. Anyway, she's going to be inheriting the throne since she's the oldest, but it's also the first time that they've had a queen inherit and not a king. Like, it's the first time they've cleared the way that women can now run the country now instead of just men. So it's a first, and she's like 18. Well, no, she's in college, so she's like 19 or 20. And she's learning to take over, and she's like 20, so she's, you know, learning about love and things, and her younger siblings are kind of the wild cards. They know they'll never, you know, run the country, so why not just do all the dumb crap you want to do and be that privileged person? They could just get whatever the crap they want. They kind of live like that. So she's has a lot of pressure on her shoulders, but you do get multi-perspective. You get her perspective. I think you get both the younger siblings' perspective. You might get the king or the queens occasionally. And then there's Samantha, the younger sister, her best friend. Also, you get her perspective on some things. And then the brother, you get his ex-girlfriend's perspective on things too. So like Thousandth Floor, you have a lot of characters, you have a lot of perspectives. So at first it always takes me a little time. Anytime we have multi-perspective, I always take like at least a quarter of the book to catch on. I'm just slow. I feel like she does a good job weaving these stories together. Catherine McGee does. And she's very quickly becoming an auto-read author for me. Very quickly. I totally enjoyed this one. Totally gonna read more of this. Okay, I gushed forever about that one. I'm gonna go quickly with these last three ones that I read. The Hating Game is a novel by Sally Thorne. This is one that I got from, I think I got it from my library sale last fall. So it's one I've been wanting to read for a while. And it's a little sexier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know exactly what I was expecting. I think I gave it like a 3.5. Like, it was pretty good. The plot was pretty good. The characters were pretty likable. I did find both of our characters pretty static. Like, I feel like they didn't really change a lot from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. But I don't think that's why people read these books. So, but it was good. I mean, I think people are giving it 5 stars, and I didn't give it 5 stars, but I liked it. I don't know if I liked enough to read more by Sally Thorne, but it was good. It was good. And then I also read Roomies, and this is by Christina Lauren. And I gave this one personally a 3.6 and technically a 3.5. This was a buddy read that I did with Serenity Dawn. We've been doing more buddy reads together since I have a little more time and she has a little more time. We've just been doing them like twice a month instead of once a month. So we did this one. And I did like this one. This, like I said, is by Christina Lauren, which is actually 2 women. One named Christina, one named Lauren, I believe. But I'm just going to refer to this as her author because I do that. So I really did enjoy this. I will read more by Christina Lauren because I did enjoy this. And I was surprised how much I enjoyed this as well. Basically, this one is set in New York City, and there's a girl who kind of has a crush on this buster. Buster? Is that what they're called? The guys that perform on the street? I'm forgetting what they're called. But anyway, she has a crush on a guy who performs in the subway, and she kind of sees him every once in a while and then starts going out of her way to see him more because she thinks he's so talented. And coincidence, her uncle is running a Broadway show and he needs a new musician. So I'm not going to go into much more than that for spoils, but basically our buster ends up moving in with our main character for one reason or another, and they become roomies. Of course it has romance in it. That is the thing with the Christina Lauren books. And I did like it though. It was pretty sweet. It was a little steamier than I thought it was going to be. Is this the first Christina Lauren I've read? Yeah, I think it is. I think this is the first Christina Lauren I read. Anyway, I will read more of her stuff. I liked it. Like I said, it was a little steamier than I thought it was going to be. Serenity's read some of her stuff, and she's like, it's a little steamier than some of the other ones. So I might enjoy the less steamy ones a little bit better, but this had character development, and I liked that. And this had a clever plot, and it had clever like language and banter and likable characters, and the situation was almost believable. So like, I liked it. I liked it. So I will be reading more of her stuff. And the last one I'm going to talk about today is One Day in December by Josie Silver. I loved this book. I did. I gave it a 4.2 personally and a 4.5 technically. I thought the writing in this was great. And it's funny because I put this on my list in January. I reserved it on audiobook through my library because all these people are like, oh, 5-star book from last year. So good. And I was like, okay, well, I am on board. Let's read this book. So it finally showed up. It was one of the days that I was like, I'm going to read a book in a day. And it was like 10 hours on my audiobook. So I found things to do around the house. I think I worked on a puzzle for a while. I think I cleaned out a closet and I did some other things. And I listened to this whole book in a day and I loved it. I kind of couldn't believe how much I liked this book. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. The thing with this book is that there is a love triangle. So this girl is on a bus on like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and she looks and she makes eye contact with this guy who's off of the bus, and there's just a click, and she suddenly is like, ooh, I should get off the bus, but I don't know if I should. Should I, shouldn't I? And the bus leaves. So then she's spending like the whole next year looking for him. Like, she's looking for him in bars. She's looking for him on buses. She keeps going back to that general area to see if he's there, because there was this connection. There was this love at first sight. And she was like, ooh, yes, this is the thing. She didn't find him. And it's like a year later, December, and she has her roommate who is her best friend in the entire world, Sarah. That name I remember. And Sarah is like the opposite of our main character, who I want to call Laura, but I can't remember her name. See, I'm not good at remembering names when I read books so quickly. I'm much better when I take a long time to read them. So they are absolute best friends and flatmates. It's British. It's adorable. She's been dating this guy for a little bit, and they're having this big party, and she's like, oh, good, you can meet this guy that I'm absolutely crazy about. And she's like outgoing and bubbly and wants to be like a TV personality. And Laura's like a bookworm, and she's kind of quiet and a little more introverted. So they're basically opposites. So she brings this boyfriend to the party, and she introduces her, and of course he's the bus boy. He's the boy from the bus station. And rather than, in this part, the whole book I was like, are you kidding me? Rather than each of them say, it's you, it's the bus boy, or it's the girl from the bus station, they both like make a silent agreement to say nothing, because it would be awkward. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be more awkward to say something at the toast of their wedding and be like, to the boy that I saw first? Like, wouldn't you want to? So miscommunication things in books often bother me. But I chose to kind of look past that, and it kind of had a bit of a love triangle in it. So she loves him, and he loves the roommate, but he also kind of likes her, but he never really had a chance to have a relationship with her because he had a relationship with Sarah, the knockout redhead. And you would kind of think that, oh, it gets awkward, and like a month later it just fizzles. Oh no, this book spans like 10 years. So you like get to see his relationship with the roommate, and then you get to see her relationship in there too. And then they kind of become friends. And at one point they choose, I'm not going to like you anymore. I am going to move on, and I am going to be the bigger person, and this is just what I'm going to do. And the book kind of evolves. So it does have that love triangle, but to me, this is a love triangle done right. I do feel like the ending of the book was a little bit rushed. I feel like there were some decisions made that were like, ooh, we need to keep this like under 300 pages. So we got to chop, 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 chop. I feel like if it had been an extra like 30 pages, we could have had the time that we needed to flush out things, and I probably would have liked it a lot more. But to be honest, it just surprised me how much I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the angst. I don't always enjoy angst in books. Matter of fact, a lot of times I don't. I enjoyed this one, and I was shocked because this is not the kind of book that I enjoy, but that's what I've been enjoying lately. So crazy enough, quarantine does weird things to people. So that is all I'm going to talk about for now. I'm going to end the video here. And then I'm going to sit here, press stop, press start, and talk about the new set of books that I am going to be talking about with you guys that I have read, and then some more that I'm going to be reading. You know how that works. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that kind of fun stuff. And I'll be catching up with you guys the second half of this video real soon. Goodbye.